So look, there will always be people who support people that we think they shouldn't support. We've seen people send letters and even get married to serial killers living on death row. That's the mad world that we live in. And look, this case is driving all of us crazy. It is driving all of us crazy. Even those that support the family and those against the family, there is going to be a degree of frustration. But this is what makes me very, very upset. And I mean upset because I think that part of this is what is fundamentally wrong with people in general, and why so many children are harmed at the hands of their family. And we're going to talk about cause and effect, because cause and effect, I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of it because I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. But look, we have two situations of cause and effect here. Now, I get that there will be supporters of this family, and what angers me is when these people tell us who don't really support the family that we are wrong in being unsupportive, because you don't have an argument for it. However you look at it, there is no argument for it. And I'm going to get back to that in a second as to exactly why your argument is null and void. But you're upset that we do not support, and you tell us that we are wrong to be unsupportive. Some of you are a little bit more gracious in how you word it, but some of you are just plain ignorant. I was told that, I wouldn't ever lose my children, heaven forbid. And I thought to myself, well, no, I wouldn't. Because again, cause and effect. I wouldn't ever be in a position where that would happen to my children. It just wouldn't. I would sacrifice everything, my time, my everything, to make sure my children were safe at any given moment in time. So for someone to come onto our property and take our child would have to happen with me watching my child. That's a fact. So look, now we look at cause and effect. So in this case, we have, for you to be supportive, you're saying that somebody came and took Summer from the property. Now, I don't believe for 1 second that someone ventured close to the house to take Summer. I do not believe it. It was late afternoon, early evening, if we go by the time frame, if you like, that we all have, that we're given as the story. So why would somebody risk venturing onto the premises with that many people around the premises? Because they must have been watching it. This isn't a property or a place that you can just drive by and it's very opportunistic. This would have to be someone who knows what's going on. They've been watching the property. They know the risks involved. I think we can all agree there that it's not going to be one of those things that someone's just driving by, sees a child, no one about, and grabs them. That's not possible. In my eyes, I can't. So look, we have the situation where Summer goes missing. So it would lead you to believe that Summer was in a scenario where she could at least be lured away from where she was. Now, Candace said that her kind of boundary line was the swing. She wouldn't have gone further than the swing. And look, all I'm doing is telling you what the person you support are telling us. And if you're saying that she's an honest person and should be believed and her story is accurate, then what we're saying is someone either went up to the swing with everyone around and risked being seen and grabbed her and left from that point, or she was lured away from that point, which meant there was opportunity. And that opportunity was caused by the lack of a parent being around, a carer, someone who could make sure that she was safe. Now, before anybody turns around and say, but you can't watch your children all the time, if you live in an area that is surrounded by criminal activity that you do know about, don't get me wrong, and please do not tell me that they were not aware of the people that lived around them. Do not tell me that, because that is not true. They will have known what people were around them and what the risks were. Now, Candace had even said that there was dangers, and even she was scared of things that were in the woods. So, look, she was aware that there was risks, and it was her responsibility to make sure that Summer was being watched. It's as simple as that. So, best case scenario is that she is looking at her phone, she's getting involved in social media. Like I said, she's uploading stuff on social media. We knew she was changing profile pictures, etc., and uploading videos. But look, I don't understand how you can absolve her of any wrongdoing. I don't understand how you cannot link cause and effect. This lifestyle of neglectful behaviour. I think between them, there's 8 children that have either been, well, let's start with unknown, taken by the state, or given to the state. That's where we are in terms of child and parent relationship history. So we also see the state of the home, the state of the mattress that Summer was laying on. We see the fact that there was clear signs of neglect. There was, and that's just a fact. And somebody said, look, bad things can happen to good people, and you are absolutely right. Bad things can happen to good people, which a lot of people may think that is what's happened to Michael Monkey Vaughan. That this was a situation that we've seen where there was an opportunistic situation where a little boy gets out of the house, walks down the road, and is taken by somebody. Now, again, I personally do believe that the parents or guardians cannot be completely absolved of any wrongdoing, because it was their responsibility to make sure he couldn't have got out of there. Even by putting a lock on the gate would have sufficed. But there we go. But it could have still been opportunistic, and they could indeed be decent people. Bit silly in terms of not fully protecting their child, but this situation with the Wells is a completely different kettle of fish. We have accusations of, well, I'm not going to say it on here, but people know what the accusations in the background were in terms of Don's relationships in his own family and what was being stated. And we have a history of drug, alcohol dependency, and criminal past, including violence. But all of a sudden, it's like people just think that life began at the point with which Summer disappeared. And that is where everything began. That's it. And nothing that happened up to that point had any bearing on her disappearance. And that's not right. It's not factual. And that's why it's very hard for people like myself to say that I support the fact that you support them and absolve them of any wrongdoing, and then find it even more annoying that you attack the people who don't support them with such ferocity to say, how dare we do such a thing? Can you not see the issue there? Can you not see why your argument is so underpowered, if you like? It's like putting a little skinny person in a ring with Mike Tyson in his prime. You're the skinny person saying you're wrong, and Mike Tyson punches you into the sky for being such a fool. But look, the final bit of cause and effect is this, and I feel that this is where you guys were perhaps hoodwinked. And that is the fact that very early on, Don stated that this was an abduction. Grandis also stated that this was an abduction. So you were told. Now, if I turn around and say to you lot, do not think of a green monkey. Whatever you do, do not think of a green monkey. Do not think of a green monkey. What are you thinking about? Now, when someone very early on says abduction, and they're telling you this is an abduction, that's what you are automatically going to think. And it's going to be very hard for you to break that connection to this case. You are going to, every time you hear it, your correlation between your mind and the case is automatically going to go straight to abduction. And that's cause and effect. That's the people closest to the victim telling you what has happened, and you putting those together, and that formulates your fundamental belief in this case. And you're not enabling yourself to understand what led up to the actual abduction, disappearance, vanishing taking place. Because let's make no bones about it, at the moment, there's no evidence of abduction. None whatsoever. No evidence of abduction at all. But what we do have evidence of is a family who were neglectful, had a history of being bad parents, had a history of being involved in criminal activity and some very, very dangerous people, who lived in an area that was so dangerous in terms of the activity that was going on in that area that we're going to talk about this week. That there are evidence of lies, there are evidence of deceitfulness, there is evidence of things being hidden, things not being right. Evidence of a lack of, how can I say? I know everybody grieves different, but there seems to be a lack of almost a parent losing a child. And again, there could be a reason for that. And that is another thing that we will touch on later in the week, that there could actually be a reason why we see that. But they are the only things that we rarely have evidence of. Not the fact that a stranger came along and abducted Summer, but she fell victim to a compounded life of neglectfulness and behaviour towards her from those that should have loved and protected her, leading us to where we are now.